Welcome back to Ricket's Reef. Today I'm going to do a DIY how to reseal a tank. One way to keep costs down in this hobby is to buy used equipment. Sometimes that's a used tank. Sometimes a used tank is not in the greatest nick and you're kind of worried about it. There's things you can do to, make the purchase a little better for you. I got this tank. It's a 26 gallon, almost a cube, for 10 bucks. I got a 33 gallon regular size tank in the other room that I just resealed. I got that for 10 bucks too. That one's going to be my hospital tank and this one's going to be a frag tank. But both tanks, when I picked them up, they both hold water. The guy said they hold water. I tested them out, they do hold water, but if you can see, the seal inside isn't in the greatest shape. It's peeling off, it's chipping, there's some air bubbles and some all sorts of junk and garbage stuck underneath the silicone inside. So I'm going to want to reseal those corners. There are two reasons to reseal a tank. One is because of the deterioration of the silicone on the inside, which is fine. That happens just with age and cleaning and so on and so forth. And the other is because you've got a leak in the seal between your two pieces of glass. That one is particularly hard to fix. Just resealing the inside seal, it's fairly straightforward, fairly easy, and will prolong the life of your tank. And it will stop leaks from happening in your tank. The other one, you pretty much have to disassemble your entire tank, scrape off all the silicone, clean it up really well, and then remake your tank. If you can avoid doing that, I highly suggest it. Fixing up a leaking tank is a lot more work than fixing up just some rundown internal silicone. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix this silicone up. Now the tools you're going to need are a vacuum cleaner, some masking tape, a little container with some water and clothes detergent, well, I guess any clothes detergent or dish soap, some razor blades, some silicone. I'm using GE silicone 100% silicone for windows and doors because of the bathroom stuff has a mildew remover, mildew guard that can be harmful to your system. Then paper towel. I can tell you, I love paper towel. I never used to love paper towel until I got into the aquarium hobby. It's so good. Anyway, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to take off the silicone on the inside of your tank. To do this, take a look at your tank and you'll see there's a joint. You got one coming this way and one coming that way. So what you want to do is you want to take your razor blade and you want to cut this way down along the butt, right? So this butts into that piece of glass. If you were to cut going in here, the likelihood of you slicing right into the internal or the seal between the two pieces of glass are greater. So if you cut right down into there to the very end of the glass, right, so you can feel the glass on the end, and then just take your razor blade and slightly run it over under this part, not too far so it goes in between the glass panes, and then you can just peel off both sections and away you go. Do that on all corners that you feel are necessary. Do it on the bottom too. I wasn't going to do the bottom, but upon closer inspection and feeling the bottom, I am going to do the bottom, so I'm going to do the whole thing. So let me give you kind of a quick demonstration, then I'll go on and do the rest in fast motion. So, got your razor blade, you're going to want a few sharp ones. And it's kind of hard to do while holding the camera. Get under that silicone and go right to the glass. And it's also really hard to do with my left hand since I'm right-handed. Okay, so once you've got that part done, all the way to the bottom, take your razor blade and go in this side ever so slightly, just to the cutoff point, and then peel it away. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. you watch from the outside, you can kind of see how well you've done. It's just a matter of peeling it off. There you go. Big trim silicone. So now I'll do the others and I will get right back. There's a couple techniques that you can use to make this easier. Sometimes a nice big long blade like this helps. You can just shimmy that under to get your way, but I find it's nice if you angle your blade a bit and just kind of go gently. This way you're not going to go in between the panes either because your blade is angled. Now you see the change in color in the silicone there? That means it's been lifted up. So get that bottom part, scrape that part. Grab it and pull. Pretty simple. Just make sure you don't get in between the panes. Alright, the next step is to put some tape in the corners. So you've got your tank cleaned up there. You've suctioned out all the bits with the vacuum cleaner. Reason why we do that, it's really hard to get the silicone bits out by hand. So tape up the corners, and then next, and then there you go, the inside edges all taped up. Now what you want to do is go around with a razor blade and chop off any little bits that are sticking over. The reason why we do this taping is to give us a nice edge, a nice professional look, and makes it a lot easier in the long run. So there you go, with the edges all nicely tidied up with the razor blade. Yeah, you want to make sure, go over it again and make sure everything's really clean. When I took off the old silicone, I actually found a few pebbles in the silicone. They were definitely not there from the tank use. It was in there from when they siliconed the tank. Okay, and next comes the silicone. Alright, I'm just going to explain this because it's going to be a little difficult to do with just one hand and one hand on the camera. I don't have a tripod yet. So basically all you want to do is run a nice bead in all your edges, dip your finger into the soapy water, and then smooth the bead out. Once you've done that and it looks good and you don't have a lot of air bubbles, make sure you don't have air bubbles. You shouldn't if you do it right the first time. Take the tape off immediately. If you let it dry and then take the tape off, your tape won't come off. You'll have tape underneath your silicone, so you got to take the tape off when it's wet. I'll show you in a second what it looks like with the silicone. Okay, I'm going to try and give you an example here of how to do this. Basically what you want to do is you want to angle your finger so that the tip touches the edge of this blue strip, and then where your finger touches on here, when it bends, it touches the edge on this side of this blue strip, and then you just pull towards you. So let's see here. If I can hold the camera and do this at the same time. Oops, sorry. There we go. And you have a fairly decent edge. Now you might want to go over that a few more times just like that to make sure it's all kosher. Yeah, I'll show you the finished product in a second. And there you have it, a freshly resealed tank. Give it 48 hours to dry, then water test it. If it leaks, do it all over again. That's pretty much it. Or you can just fill it a bit at a time and see if it leaks to try and find the leak. That's one way of doing it. That's probably how I'll do it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Comments, questions, greatly welcome. Bye-bye.